Nakhane used to be really religious, a young, earnest Lutheran for around 4 years. What drew you to religion? What forced you to part ways?
I was born into Christianity. It was the first idea of spirituality that I was given, first and only one. Everything else was seen as false or demonic, etc., etc. So I didn't really have a choice until my mid-20s, where I started questioning things a little bit. But there was also the moment that I was the most conservative, So these things sort of happened at the same time. Maybe this says more about me as a person than it does about the conditions that I grew up in my spirituality, etc., etc. But it was also because my mom, my mom was a Christian, and I was very close to my mother, and she was sort of the litmus test of what was good in life.
Yes.
And if she said it was good, then it was good. And I was a child, and I was impressionable.
And then you said what?
And then life fell apart around 24, 25. And I started to question things a little bit. I mean, I've been to university and I was starting to read a lot of Black conscious readers, and my politics were changing, and my politics and my spirituality was starting to... They were not coherent. I'm speaking personally now.
Yes.
Some people can make those two things work. But it was my politics, it was my sexual identity, and my spirituality. And somehow, in this trinity, something was not mixing. And I still sort of tried, though. I still tried to sort of make them work together. But there came a point in my life when things sort of fell apart. And I was living with friends in the couches, and decisions were easier to make.
Yes.
It became easier for me to choose what was right for me at that point in time, without any filter of my friends who were in the church, or my pastor, or my mother, just me. At that point, I just had me to sort of have a conversation with. And that was an incredible moment for me, to sort of make life-changing decisions.
I want to go back to the mix in your life, to an earlier part of Nakhane. And when you were a young boy, you were at a school where teachers are writing letters to parents saying children must not speak isiXhosa. And you pushing back at that instinctively. What was that instinct about, and how did you express it?
My family, as much as they had very concise beliefs, they did give you a space to have your say and have discussions. Even if you won't change their minds about it, my family was also interested, though, to see where these beliefs came from. And then they'd either make fun of them or they'd think about it. So when I was at school and I'd learn maybe the sheet music and the teacher would give us, yes. And then I'd go, but what if we just did this? Yes. The teacher would go, just do what is on the sheet music. And I'd go, but it's boring. Just remember some old white guy. You were in a band full of Black kids. Can we just put ourselves into this? And that was exciting. That's just exciting for me to sort of mess around with things a little bit, find another way to enjoy them.
Nakhane, I want to stay with language just for the moment, though, even though music, of course, is a language in itself. You write songs in English, you wrote Piggy Boy's Blues in English. Where does expressing yourself in isiXhosa come in? Do you think in the language?
I think isiXhosa, I dream in isiXhosa. It's interesting because it's my mother tongue, right?
Yes.
And I was taught in isiXhosa for 7 years. But by the time I went to primary school, English was the lingua franca. To the point like that they used to write letters to our parents that we would not talk, that they would speak English to us at home.
With the letters in English?
In English. So what's that kid going to do?
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? There's no isiXhosa in school, and if you are taught isiXhosa in school, you're taught by a white woman. That you guys are basically correcting, going, that's not how you say it, So a lot of my generation, who were, I guess, the buffer from pre-94 to post-94, ended up not really being able to speak isiXhosa and think well in their home languages, but in terms of writing, they had to learn by themselves later. you know? I think that's what we're all doing. Well, no, maybe not all of us, but we're all trying to do that.
This thing of wanting to hold on to your language and its various expressions, both spoken and music, for example, was that part of a bedrock of your other ideas that we spoke about earlier, some of your political views? For example, understand in questioning Christianity, you said, well, we were not heathens and evil before the white people came. Are they connected?
Of course, completely. The question is, and the question I posed when I'd left Christianity was, so, before 1960-52, or before, even before that, when a few other white people came before and they were chased away by the Khoisan.
Yes.
Were all black people going to hell until a couple of white guys came and saved us? And all the people that posed this question to either say no or yes. There's no middle ground. My church.
Some said yes.
Oh yeah, the church I used to go to used to say, well, yes, white people were a judgment to the sins that black people were committing, which was the beginning of the end for me with that church. I was just like, wow, I couldn't stay. I couldn't look at those people without a level of bitterness. Them knowing that they felt good and were proud of their ancestors' colonialism and imperialism, and that my ancestors went through the most painful thing, to survive, to just be seen as human beings. And for some reason, those people still thought that what happened in the world as colonialism was somehow justified.
So as a young man, from an early age, you're building a deep love for your language, a sense of your history, an even deeper love for your culture in its many manifestations. And then you find yourself on the cusp of your 30th birthday in a huge fight with people who say you disrespect all of this, and worse, you betray it. I'm coming back to where I started. That must have been absolutely turbulent for you, as well prepared as you might have been.
And you can't prepare for that.
Yeah.
You can't prepare for thousands of people, maybe hundreds of thousands of people, saying something like that. It's interesting, one day I saw on Twitter, and someone said, I wonder how it feels to be hated by millions of people. And I have no answer for that. At that point in time, when that happens, there's so much coming at you.
Yes.
Right? That, at least me, I just went numb. And I put my blinkers on and I worked. There was no time for me to fall apart. There was no time for me to be self-pitying. I sort of looked at why I made the decisions I made and I asked myself, have you changed your mind? And I hadn't. If anything, I was steadfast.
I just want to balance something, because we've been talking a lot about the people who hated you and were inflamed by the movie in negative ways. There were people who loved it. What conversations...
Just as much as the people who hated it, I think.
What conversations did you have with them and what did you take from that?
They're not going to win. No, they were nuanced, I think a lot of the conversation in the Nceba era, which is over for me now, this is the last interview I'm doing about Nceba, saying that to my PR, is that it was reactive, reactionary at least, So if one person said this, another person said that, and then another person would say this, another person would say that, there was no time for people to actually sit down and think, It was all knee-jerk reactions, which were interesting.
Yes.
When love is your knee-jerk reaction, that was humbling to me. That some people were willing to, put their lives in danger. Because they were. Anyone who supported the film got a lot of flack from the people who hated the film. And I respect those people who stood up for what the film was. And I wasn't the only person who got the death threats. I wasn't the only person who was hated for the film. Bongile Manzai and Niza J, who were the other actors in the film, also got a lot of flack.